Nice to meet you. I'm the Director of Product and Materials in LuxCreo. And here to talk to you about how LuxCreo enables your new or growing practice for growth, profitability, and differentiation. We met a lot of ortho residents and fresh ortho graduates over the past few days at AAO and before. And one of the things that I learned is that, ortho residents they have to invest a lot. You guys have to invest a lot in order to start your own practice, in order to get to where you are. Dental school costs a lot of money, ortho residency costs a lot of money, sometimes you do an academic fellowship, and then you're ready to start your practice. And it's like, wow, I just spent a lot of money to do this. How do I start a practice? How much does it cost? What is the investment? How do I get there? And LuxCreo is actually a really, really great partner, especially with our 0% financing offer that we have right now, to really be your partner in differentiating your practice, growing your practice, starting a new one, and really scaling with you along the way. So I'm going to talk to you about 4 different things here. So one is how we differentiate fundamentally, just like what puts LuxCreo apart and what sets us up as an ideal partner. And then number 2 is a bit of a technical breakdown of why LuxCreo enables building better treatments by solving the big problem in clear aligner workflow and clear aligner production, clear aligner results. And the third section is we'll talk a little bit about growing with the LuxCreo clinical success model. How can you use the LuxCreo system to grow once that you know how it works and why it works so well? And then we'll talk a little bit about how automated and easy our application-centric workflows are. So LuxCreo's mission is very simple. Be in control, less labor, more smiles, simplify digital dentistry, simplify manufacturing. What that translates to, right, is deliver better personalized medical devices at all scales. Whether you are a huge practice with like 40 chairs and multiple orthodontists and dentists in your practice, whether you are just starting out with a couple of chairs, or whether you're a lab, you can deliver personalized medical devices that are better and more efficient and more effective. You can empower medical professionals to take control of your practice and enhance your patient experience. So, what does it mean to take control of your practice? A lot of times you have patients that keep coming back but don't keep getting better. So you'll have patients who you'll start a treatment, you're constantly refining their treatment, you're constantly correcting their treatment, you expect this treatment to take a year, it takes 3 years, you're not really making more money, you're not improving your productivity, you're not improving your patient, and you're really frustrated and you're wondering, is this your fault, right? And a lot of times, most of the time, it's not. But it's just opacity of the tools that you're being given. And simplify digital dentistry for all is no matter whether you're a veteran, whether you are just graduated, whether you're a student, what we can do can really simplify the way you work. And what we believe is simplicity is creativity. And with that simplification, we can the friction points between you and your ideas are lessened, and you can really start to deliver the things that are in your head that you think can really change your patients' lives. So a core value set up apart. So number 1 is patient safety. That's uncompromising. We do not do anything, we do not launch any product if we think, or if there's any, without proving that this product is going to keep your patients safe. You can always trust that when we release a workflow, when we release a new product, it's designed with patient safety as number 1. We believe in that simplicity-based creativity. I mentioned that before. We really work hard to simplify our processes and make it very, very easy for you to use, so you can really explore your ideas and bring your creativity to your patients' lives. And customer experience centers all work. We have a world-class customer support team. It's a very core value. I'll talk about that a little bit. And that really and we really focus on the customer experience. We're exceptionally customer centric, is in our core DNA as part of everything we do, and a science first product design philosophy, right? Everything that we do is born in data, in clinical data and research data and scientific data. We have state-of-the-art labs, and we work with a number of universities to really make sure that we are building the right products for the space. What just happened? Oh, hold on. Okay. Yeah, so first thing is we have a total solution, right? So you've seen here, you probably know, we have really great clear aligners. We have retainers, we have splints. You've probably seen some of the new devices and new applications we're coming out with. But we have about a total of like 17 or 18 total indications, 18 to 20 supported resins. We have a huge library of partners that we work closely with, and we can touch pretty much every application you need. Indirect bonding trays, you have it. Restoration balls, crowns, bridges, you have it. Headache rotators, we have it. So you can really trust that, and splints, of course. So you can surgical guides. You can always trust that we have the application that you need whenever you need it. Additionally, we have our resin certifications. We take that very seriously. We were the first in the world to get FDA Class 2, 510K for direct clear aligners. We also now have NMPA, EU MDR, Health Canada, and German regulations as well, right? So, and then we have, of course, world-class support. Space in Chicago, customer success drives everything. It's a core value. When we interview any customer, when we interview any employee for hiring, we always ask them, what is your commitment to the customer? How are you going to make the customer more successful? It doesn't matter what your job position is. Everybody can be pulled in to solve a customer problem at any point in time. So we have three things, right? Lux Academy. Lux Academy is our online self-service training module to sell LuxCreo learns LuxCreo. When we have a new hire in our company, they go through the exact same onboarding process that we use for our customers, which means that we expect our employees to be onboarded as well as our customers in the same amount of time, with the same amount of resources, and get up and running and be productive with our equipment and with our solution in just that same amount of time. It doesn't require any additional training. We learn at your own pace. We're constantly updating and improving our learning modules. Is always there for you as you need it. We have a time to smile. Less than 15 days between the time that you place an order for our equipment and the time that it gets delivered. You are up and running and fully productive with your solution. That means you receive your solution in under 10 days, and within 5 days, you're on board and productive. And we have state-of-the-art AI-enabled ticket management tools. You can search, you can type in your questions, and we have deep deep AI that can pull from our knowledge databases and answer your questions in a dynamic way. So that's really something that is here for you. It's something we invest a lot into, and it's something that we think sets it apart. And our 4D liner production is safe, approved, and easily repeatable. We have thousands, actually, of tens of thousands of aligners delivered, hundreds of customers, 0 reported adverse effects. We have passed every possible rigorous testing on this and for our workflow, and we have ensured that our workflow is exceptionally scalable and repeatable without any gimmicks or anything like that or shortcuts. So I want to talk a little bit about solving the big clear aligner problem, right? So thermoform aligners have significant performance issues, right? And people have been dealing with these performance issues for a long period of time. These issues can lead to endless refinements, multiple bit course corrections, patient frustration, a loss of compliance in their patient behavior. Chair time is increased, clinical productivity, profitability is reduced. Doctors feel like they're losing control. They don't know why. It's hard, it's a black box. The problem there is that these performance issues have become the industry standard to the point where people have sort of stopped talking about it, right? So they say, okay, well, I'm just going to make thermoform these aligners. I'm going to deliver these aligners to my patients. I'm going to hope for the best. And that's the expectation. But we want to challenge that expectation, and we want to shatter it. We want it because we believe that 4D aligners really change the paradigm. We have unparalleled accuracy, unparalleled productivity, and design control, and we believe that our workflow and our solution for 4D aligners enhance productivity, value, and satisfaction. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about, I mentioned the black box in the previous slide. And what is a black box? You might think about a black box as that box that sits in a plane, and then people have to figure out, if something happens to the plane, what happened. They have to poke into the black box, and nobody really knows why. The black box is a mystery box, right? It's a mystery box where a situation happens. There's a black box in the middle. There's an outcome that you don't want, and you can't figure out why because there's too much noise. So breaking open that black box, what are some of the things, some of the components of the black box, right? We have two categories: aligner accuracy and efficacy issues, treatment compliance issues, right? On the aligner side, or accuracy and efficacy issue side, we have a lot of different things. Model accuracy and model height can play a huge role in the accuracy of a thermoformed aligner. Thermoforming process, right? What is the process that you're using? What is the equipment you're using to thermoform? What is the material you're using? How are you removing the thermoform aligner? What is the stress relaxation or distortion of the thermoform appliance? All of these things, it basically are highly variable. They're sometimes hard to predict. We've seen problems, for example, where a staff change in a clinic or a lab can lead to differences in the way a thermoform appliance is removed, which then leads to issues with the way the thermoform appliance fits, right? So these are all things that we've seen, things that our customers have complained about. And then we have treatment compliance issues, right? We have treatment design. How well is the treatment fundamentally designed? How well is IPR used, right? What is the, how many attachments? How big are the attachments? What's the shape of the attachments? What's the scan quality? And then does the patient actually like the treatment? Are they enjoying the treatment? Which is a huge deal, because if it's interfering too much with their day-to-day life, they will not comply with the treatment will not work as well. So and this leads, of course, to significant refinements, mid-course corrections all the time. We call this refinement hell, where basically a patient's done, but they need another 10 trays, they need another 10 trays, they need another 10 trays, and then suddenly another year has gone by, right? And they're still not done with their treatment. And they're just taking up care time, they're taking up resources, and they're complying less and less, they're losing patients. Large sizes and common number of attachments, overcorrection on attachments, overcorrection on treatment design. Doctor is not feeling in control. All of these things that happen. And what we feel like we've done is we've knocked out all of these issues on their aligner accuracy and efficacy. No more models, so no more model accuracy and model height variance. No more thermoforming, right? And then the stress relaxation or distortion is gone as well because of active memory, which I'll talk about. We have all these different problems resolved because direct printing is more accurate than thermoforming. You get better control over your spatiotemporal spaces, the conformity around the teeth, the conformity around attachments, the conformity in your interproximal spaces and your roots, and that leads to better treatment outcomes. We also believe that we have improved the patient compliance and experience because our aligners tend to be more comfortable. They tend to be more comfortable and less painful while removing teeth just as well or better in most cases. And we also believe that we have improved and overhauled attachments by, and you'll see this in Dr. Bill Lehman's talk today, but where we have shown, where we can where a lot of clinical data, a lot of emerging clinical data is showing that we are able to dramatically reduce reliance on attachments, the size of attachments, the number of attachments, and in many cases eliminate attachments where in a traditional study those attachments would have been necessary. So we have a greatly simplified workflow. Traditional, you have standing treatment planning, then you have to generate models, you have to print those models, post-process the models. Sometimes you have to manually block out those models, you have to thermoform, manually trim, buff and wash. This is basically what happens whether you in-house thermoforming or you outsource thermoforming, this is essentially the process. We eliminate a lot of these steps. You go from standard treatment planning to Lux Design shell generation, which is fully automated, and then you go to then you print it, post-process it, and which both of these steps being very highly automated, and then you go to buffing and washing, which takes about 20 seconds per tray, and you're done. You deliver to the patient. Substantially easier, lower labor, faster, more scalable. We have unparalleled aligner accuracy. So if you look at this, right, we have done a lot of confocal microscopy imaging and to show better compliance of the shell around the tooth. So in a thermoform space, if you look at the top left, you'll see basically that there's uneven gappage or space between the thermoform appliance and a tooth on the and you'll see this both on the occlusal space and around attachments and even around roots. And with 4D, we see much more even spacing. Which one of these is the? Is there a laser pointer on this? No? Okay. So you'll see much more even gappage between, or design tolerance between the shell and the tooth, and it's all designed in our system and customized. And you also over here you'll see we have better attachment conformity, and through our microscopy imaging you'll see that we have better undercut and adaptability as well. Both of these things reducing reliance on attachments, allowing your attachment to be smaller, and allowing your treatments to be more predictable. We have multi-thickness and unique designs that are only available with direct print 4D aligners. So the multi-thickness is very simple. Our treatment software reads the treatment. It will, or our design software reads the treatment. It looks at a treatment velocity and looks at the areas where the teeth are moving. And based on where the teeth are moving, based on treatment velocity of those areas that are moving, it applies selective thickness to those spaces, additional thickness to those spaces. So what happens, if you look here, the uniform thickness appliance is about a 0.6 millimeter shell with a heat map. We do a little bit of anterior compensation. In the actual print, it's all uniform. It's just the way our software talks to the printer and makes sure that the appliance is fully accurate. But in multi-thickness, the areas over here where you have highest treatment velocity and you have areas where your teeth are moving the most, those areas are reinforced with additional thickness. So in this example, you have a 0.6 millimeter thick appliance. You're applying about 0.5 millimeters of additional thickness in those areas. This areas right here could be up to 1.1 millimeters thick. But you might think 1.1 millimeters thick, I never want my patient to wear a 1 millimeter thick aligner, but it's not. Every single time we deliver an appliance like this, it feels to them exactly like a 0.6 millimeter thick appliance. They can never tell because it is a 0.6 millimeter thick appliance in about 80% of the space. And it's because of that additional thickness, that it reinforces and improves the stress relaxation response, makes it even more predictable, even for higher treatment velocities, and gives you a better clinical result. We have a lot of different applications that we're able to make. Mandibular advancement devices, you've probably seen our EMA devices over there. It's our newest application for EMA 3D for sleep. We have anterior bite trans, we have posterior bite turbos, cutouts, buttons, hooks, Pontics, torque shields. We have over there, you'll see a new application on 4D Bright, which is our Pontic retainers. And phase 1 retainers are also over there, which is also coming in June. And more and more, right? So there's a huge number of new applications that are direct print only with 4D aligner platform. We have active memory, and active memory is a really important one, right? Active memory means you can always thermally rejuvenate your appliances. You can fully clean your aligners, reset all stress relaxation, and enhance treatment efficacy or efficiency. So if you look at the left, 4D aligners and thermoform aligners, they were basically bundled, kept overnight with a rubber band, and they're both permanently deformed. And now they're both going to go into boiling water, right? So this is going to go into boiling water, and you're going to see what happens. It's going to basically restore itself, and you're going to get full shape recovery. And our data suggests that the shape recovery is around 99.8%. So if you look at this, you'll see that the appliance is basically goes new. And if you're, all the orthodontists here will say, I will never tell my customers to boil a thermoformed aligner. It's because you shouldn't. Because if you look here now, where we boil a thermoformed aligner, you'll see that it basically is permanently destroyed. So you'll see that there's a little bit of recovery, right? But when you take it out and you look at it, it basically is highly warped. And it's just highly bent, highly warped, highly contoured. It's never really going to fit right afterwards. In most cases, it won't fit at all. And you can see the difference here, right? They do not recover to their original shape. They're basically gone forever. Whereas 40 aligners do have full shape recovery. This is pretty important because, our system has really good stress relaxation properties. However, all materials stress relax, whether they're thermoforming appliances or whether they're thermoset appliances. But unlike thermoforming appliances, our stress relaxation can be fully reversed. That full reversal means that you're able to track better. Think about it this way, right? If you traditionally speaking, what stress relaxation does is your teeth exert an equal and opposite force in response to the aligner. The aligner exerts a force on the tooth exerts a force on the aligner. The aligner it moves the teeth better than the teeth move the aligner. That's why teeth move, right? And what happens is over time, the teeth will move. But as the teeth move, the equal and opposite force on the aligner creates stress relaxation, and the amount of force being applied onto a tooth becomes less and less. And over time, the tooth will stop moving, probably about 80 to 90, not around 90%, 95% even of this of the distance to where it's supposed to go in that given treatment. 90-95% movement sounds really good until you realize that's 90-95% movement on one step. 90-95% movement on one step. Now you have a 20-step case, right? Now you take that 20-step case, you have 90-95% movement, multiply that 90% by 90% by 90% by 90%. At the end of that 20%, how are you tracking? It's like 62%, right? That doesn't sound as good, right? And this is one of the big things in that black box. When I talk about stress relaxation, that's one of those big things in the black box that leads to lower treatment efficacy, right? That 90% turns it over time into 60%, and then you're not very happy anymore. And then that's where you see that, and you do a mid-course correction, Because of our active memory system, what we're able to do is we're able to guarantee that stress relaxation is fully reversible. And what that means is you're able to take that every single step from 90%, that extra 10% to 100%. And then at the end of your 20-step treatment, instead of going from around 60 to 65% tracking, you're around 98 to 100% tracking. And that's some of the things you're going to see in Dr. Lehman's talk and Dr. Wachowski's talk and Dr. Lin's talk, right? So why does that happen? These are, if you look at the right here, you'll see stiffness versus temperature, right? And the shape memory alloy, everybody here is probably very familiar with night-tie wires. Night-tie wires are great because basically you conform them and then you put them in the patient and then they hold that conformation or they will move back to that original conformation always when you take them out and then they'll harden. And that's a martenite-austenite transition, right? It goes from ambient to oral, and actually the stiffness becomes more, but then at ambient temperature, you could reshape it, then it becomes stiffer, reshape, stiffer, right? Really great as a fixed appliance. Most shape memory aligners, most materials in the 3D printing space are going through on this blue line, glassy to rubbery. They're glassy at room temperature, but intraoral, they're pretty rubbery, and then they will relax really, really fast. They won't really hold that much. And then they'll go back to ambient room temperature and they'll become glassy again. But that's not really great for moving teeth predictably. But what sets us apart is we developed a system that's really, really tough, but also has a really high glass resistant temperature. And what it means is you can't really break your appliance, but it has a high TG, high toughness, and that allows us to go from a glassy to rubbery domain in a hot environment. So intraorally, instead of being rubbery, we are glassy. but we have to go to a very hot environment in order to reach a rubbery state. So if we're able to boil, go to a rubbery state, or heat to a rubbery state, restore the material, and then go back to glossy, which is intraoral, and you have a fully rejuvenated system. So, oops, let me go back. All right, so, okay, so what that leads to is complete force restoration, right? So here's some tests that we've done. We've done a lot of tests. I'll show you one example where we basically do a 24-hour deformation by half a millimeter. Half a millimeter is about twice the typical treatment velocity for a liner case. But so it's a decent stress test, right? And we do a simultaneous force recording with a dynamical mechanical analyzer, right? And we then place the system, the appliance in a water bath at 100 degrees Celsius, and we'll do another repeat cyclic testing in that exact same area after cooling. And what we're able to see here is we do a thermal excitation every single day, and we do a full day of stress relaxation measurements. And what we're able to see is we're able to see the stress relaxation response be a steady state, exactly the same every single day between thermal excitation, which assures that the appliance is always exerting a predictable amount of force if you with a very, very simple system, right? So we don't see any degradation in mechanical properties doing shape memory cycling. No matter how many times you cycle the appliance, the properties of the material do not change. So another thing is maintenance, like technology, and we recommend easy but specific maintenance for the best patient experience. So here in our booth, you probably have heard about our Rejuve kit. The Rejuve is essentially it's a small box, and it applies ultrasonic and heat at the same time. It doesn't get to boiling, right? It gets to about 60 degrees, but 60 degrees with ultrasonic so sonication, and using a thin tablet like a retainer bright or a Polydent, basically no matter what will restore your appliance to like new state. So things happen, right? You're wearing your appliance, it might stain if you drink coffee or drink wine without realizing, or if you go on a long trip, you're not really able to maintain your appliance or something like that. Your appliance might look a little grimy after a few days, and that happens no matter what. But one of the things about 4D aligners, right, we do have a little bit more discoloration than a thermoform aligner, but unlike a thermoform aligner, that discoloration is always fully reversible. So I'll give you two examples. A normal case, right? Normal case is basically like me, right? I'm here in Philadelphia, and you know I don't have my Rejuve. I don't have access to boiling water. I basically I'm just like brushing my aligners every day, just to like make do, and I'm just like trying to like hope for the best. And about a few days of that, my aligners will look a bit like that, right? And then basically I add water to the top, right? It's normal case. Add water, add a tablet, Rejuve, rinse, and they look brand new at the end. Then I take an extreme case. So this is a case that was given to us by one of our customers, and they were upset. They sent us this, they're like, look how seen this was, and then they called us the next day, and they were like, okay, I actually got some more context. This person basically didn't clean their liner for a month. They didn't even remove it while drinking wine or coffee half the time. They weren't really paying attention. They, you know, and they weren't as angry the next day. We're like, all right. But then we were like, all right, what if we took this as a challenge? Like, what if we take this incredibly brown, incredibly disgusting looking appliance? Can we just apply the same treatment and Rejuve that? And guess what? In 10 minutes, it looked like this. And that was really cool. We're like, all right, and we sent it back to them, and they were like, did you just put us a new one? We're like, no. This is the same one you gave us. Yeah, no, it isn't. What are you talking about? So yeah, we were able to reverse almost all discoloration. Let's say 90-95%. So our patients see the benefits. I don't know if does the sound work? Okay, the sound doesn't work, so I'm going to skip this slide. But basically, this is a patient testimonial where a patient it was one of those rare cases where a patient was able to. They started with a thermoform appliance, and then they had it switched to direct print, and they were able to talk about the differences between the two. And what they essentially said is that they were able to speak a lot more easily and it was much more comfortable to wear the direct print. They had TMJ, they were grinding less, it was irritating them less compared to thermoformed appliance, and it was moving teeth even better. So they were just really, really happy with it. So basically the next section I want to talk about here is how to grow with the LuxCreo Clinical Success Model, right? So you can, this is a pretty important area. You can differentiate yourself. If you're a new practitioner, if you're growing your practice, you can really differentiate yourself with a value-driven, in-house production system that works better for you and your patients, right? So what does that mean? All right, so you are a fresh orthodontist, right? You finished dental school, you finished residency, and you just realized you spent like $1 million on your education, right? Undergrad, dental school, residency, yeah, you could be $1 million in the hole pretty easily. So you're like, oh my God, now I want to start my own practice. That's always been my dream. And now I need to pony up with like $500,000 more, right? That is crazy. How do I do that, right? That's a typical cost of starting a new practice. 60% of the costs of a new practice go to overhead, right? You have little things like 20% staff wages, 10% lab fees, 9% in supplies and postage, shipping, handling. This is a crazy amount of cost, and it's overwhelming for a new practitioner, right? So what we think is that the LuxCreo clinical success, the LuxCreo system can really boost your clinical success without putting a huge dent in your pocket. So here's one, same day delivery, right? You deliver same day, right? You come in, a patient comes into your clinic, right? And this is especially true like if you are a brand new clinic, you don't have a huge patient volume, and you can really do like that really, really hands-on experience where you talk to them, you take their scan, you say, all right, I'm going to set you up with like a 2-stage movement to tell me what you think, and then we'll do more, right? And you can basically design that right there on the fly, and set it and print it right there on the fly, and within an hour and 45 minutes, they are holding their first 2 stages of their treatment, first 3 stages of their treatment, like that, pretty easily. And then they're able to leave that exact same day with their treatment, starting it right there. That's a huge differentiator. Being able to start, have a patient walk in, get diagnosed, and walk out with their appliances for the next month is a huge differentiator. Very, very few clinics can do that. All the clinics, 100%, almost all the clinics that can do that most of them have our system, right? And not only that, but they're coming home with an appliance that works better. So a lot of times when you're starting out, you're getting referrals from GPs, and the GPs started them on Invisalign, and then they weren't tracking well, and they're like, you know what, they need a refinement, or they have a relapse case, we're going to send them to you. And then you have do a quick relapse case, they come in, they've already worn a thermoform, they've already worn this Invisalign, they put in this new appliance, they're like, oh my God, this is way more comfortable, right? You can do a fast turnaround time, and you're also cost-effective and eco-friendly. You don't have to have a mountain of dental models in your trash can every day, which really helps. Your footprint is better. When you're starting a new practice, right, or growing a practice, footprint is such a premium. Space is such a premium. And if you have a thermoform setup, you need a lot of stuff to get for a thermoform setup, and it can take up a lot of space. And if you want to scale that thermoform setup, because you only do like 6 models at a time, then you need more printers, you need more space. It's just not really that easy if you don't have a lot of space. So what the thing with LuxCreo is you don't need more space than our solution, right? So our solution, you can do 12 trays at once, you can keep running them, and then you don't need to buy more thermoform, you don't need a bottleneck, you don't have a vacuum former, you basically just have our solution. It's a 4x2 table space, and allows you to basically have a very small space confined to all of your production. That's really efficient. It also means that you don't have to wait weeks or months to get your appliances. And that leads to a lot of cost reductions and overhead reductions, right? You have a 19 or 20% cost reduction in in-house thermoforming, up to 75% cost reduction versus outsourcing from Invisalign. If you look at the cost of on-site fabrication with thermoforming,
it's by far the cheapest, right? And this is a really big saving. It's a huge saving for your practice. And we also scale with you, right? So we have a 40 ambassador program, and what that allows you to do is allows you to start your treatment in-house, do the first few trays right there, and then have LuxCreo send you the rest of the trays. So that way, if you're starting your practice, you could do all of the trays for your customers. But if then your practice is really taking off, you're growing really fast, and now what you can do is you can say, for the sake of efficiency, all my customers are going to get their first 4 or 5 trays in-house. They're going to get the rest of their trays from LuxCreo, and that is totally an option, and it's something that we are really well integrated to enable you to do. So it really helps you out. Our customers are going fast with quick ROI, right? We've seen 3x. Some clinics, they grow 3 times, 300% in 1 year after onboarding the LuxCreo solution, with revenue increasing by 13,500 per month. We have Dr. Raj Shakay here, who has basically saved in 6 months. This is an old quote, but in 6 months he completed 65 cases. Allowed him to save well over 27,000 lab fees, on top of huge amounts of gains, reduced chair times, higher efficiency, outstanding ROI. So I don't know what just happened. And we have many other testimonials here. Dr. Pham, 60 to 75% in labor costs compared to traditional workflow. We have customers who really love the integrated and adjustable parameter settings and easy to use software. So it's really been driving a huge amount of value for our customers. So the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is the 40 aligner workflow as a simple and powerful digital workflow, one-click print, and easy one-touch post-processing. So we have a system called Fast Track. And what Fast Track does is allows you to automate and one-click your way from a treatment to a shell for printing in a few minutes. Right, so first you create select a design profile. You typically only have to do this once. You set your design profiles. You have a lot of different options. You can adjust your design tolerances and thresholds with tight fit. You can adjust your thickness from 0.5 to 1.2 millimeters. You can adjust your block out, your gap filling, uniform thickness. You can do AI trim lines. You can import your own trim lines. Anything you want. Right, so it's a huge, a lot of settings just in our automated system. You set up this profile, you do this profile, you press save, and then you drop your case in. Right, you drop your case in, you have an XML, you throw it in there, or an XML is something that you have from a treatment export for treatment plans that are well integrated into our system, like ULabs or Titan. But actually, we even if you don't have it well integrated, you just take the same models and you throw them in. Right? If there's no integration with our system, it'll still work. You throw the models in. You select the AI trim line. Our AI trim line will do it for you. If you export with a trim line, then it'll use that trim line instead. And then you drop the case. All you have to do is throw the case in and load a profile. Press go. And then you press go and you go get a coffee. Right? So once you press go get a coffee. Go get a bathroom break. Takes about 5 minutes. And it's just going to process everything for you. It's going to do all of the aligner treatments for you. You don't have to worry. You just come back in a few minutes and it's done. So, and then once that's done, I don't know what's happening here. Once that's done, you just export the case to LuxCreo. It'll automatically one-click support, orient, stage, nest, at the system. Then you slice and send, and in about 5 minutes you're going from your treatment export to starting your print shop. Very, very, very easy, and you can see how that works right here. So right here what it's doing is it's going through the whole one-click process, and then it will basically go through the whole orient, nest, and everything else. Done. That's it. That's all it is. So then, so if you need more control, we have you covered, right? This is a really 95% of our customers use Fast Track for everything because that's all they need to do. It just works. Sometimes they have a really difficult. 95. Say all of our customers use Fast Track 95% of the time. That's a better way to put it. But every customer has that 5% use case. They have a difficult patient, weird anatomy, or they want to work on a special appliance, a specialized appliance, something really unique for that patient to really help them. They have their own idea that they want to implement. So they do these things, right? And so we have this control mode, right? And there's a lot of things you can do. You can clean up a scan, you can customize the model, you can create carve-outs or undercuts on that model, right? In order to further customize it. So if you have a patient who has 0 undercuts and nothing you're doing, they've had every thermoform appliance under the sun, first I'll say, you don't need to do this. You can even try fast track. Most of the time it works just fine. But you can do things like put in gentle undercuts on your teeth or something like that to make it fit better. You could customize your trim line with the help of AI, right? You could do cutouts on your trim line. You could make your trim line more scalloped, anything you want. Have more gingival margin, less gingival margin. You could have Pontic placement. We have real live Pontics now, like with full teeth. Customized gap filling. You could add or remove interproximal gingival blockouts. You could create pockets for bleaching trays, all sorts of things. You could then create your shell, 0.6 to 1.2 millimeters, uniform thickness, thin occlusal thickness, multi-thickness. And then finally, you could add or remove thickness to the shell, add push points, labels, and place attachments. So this is a huge amount of control that you could have to really design this appliance. And when you print the appliance, it comes out, it is accurate. You want a 0.7 thickness in this section, and a 0.6 thickness in this section, and 1 millimeter thickness in this section, that's exactly what you're gonna get. No questions asked, right? It just works. And then once you're done with the design, and you send it to printer, you print, the post-processing has never been easier. So print, it takes about 55 to 75 minutes. So when I say 55, that's if you have our 45-degree angle print where you print like 6 to 8 aligners at a time, or retainers. But if you're doing a full bed, you do it for 12. It takes about 65 to 75 minutes to do. Then you have a wash. It's a one-button wash. It's right there. You press wash, powerful wash, and basically you have 2 IPA reservoirs. It automatically cleans your part thoroughly, guaranteed, no gimmicks, no centrifuges, right? There's no resin left on the part after cleaning. That is really important because it's critical for patient safety. From there, we have two cures. We have an oven cure, which takes 10 minutes, and that's because we have a really high glass resistant temperature material, which is really important for moving teeth. It's one of the reasons why your material moves teeth so well. And then we go to a UV cure 20 minutes. It's a regular UV cure. You don't need a nitrogen generator, right? And you don't need to worry about the quality of your nitrogen or the quality of or the humidity of your room or any of this other stuff that would impact the ability for the surface to cure. Our surface just cures because the part's fully dry because there's no uncured resin on the part. And then from there, you have a finish. It takes 20 and 30 seconds per part, right? And it's just three easy steps. You get easy support removal. So I actually recorded this video where you're removing it with a tool. But if you look at our booth, you pull the part, you can remove it by hand. The reason I did it by tool is because some people really prefer using tools, and you have some people who have very small hands or very long fingernails that say, I don't really want to remove it by hand all the time. You know, I would rather use a tool. So I'm just showing here, you could use a tool as well. Then you just buff just along the trim line, just along the appliance trim line, right? So you just have this trim line right here. Just go along the trim line. You just clean up the trim line, and it's done. It takes about 15 seconds. And then you perform a 10-second final rinse. Just a soft bristle toothbrush with water. You just rinse the part, you dry it, and you give it to your patient. That's all it is. So that's really it. It's a very simple workflow. It's really scalable. It helps you build your practice no matter if you're just starting out or you're already established. If spaces are a premium, the LuxCreo system is respectful of that, and what that means is you can go from a 3-chair clinic, a 2-chair clinic, to a 20-chair clinic, and still have full utilization of that one machine, right? And it will scale with you, it will grow with you, it'll enable you to build new devices, and it is really important because there's 3 aspects, right? Being able to make aligners more efficiently and do things like same-day delivery, ability to make better appliances, right? Better appliances that fit better, that move teeth better, the ability to create new custom devices like transitional retainers, Pontic retainers, and sleep apnea devices that other people can't do that can really that can treat a larger variety of patients and really help them, really serve them. These are things that could set you apart in your practice and allow you to grow and get those referrals, right? And that's why we think that we're a really great partner. So I'd like to, open up for questions, and if anybody has any questions about how we can better serve the needs of a new transforming practice, or any ideas that you have after listening to this, I'm all open. Please talk to us at our booth. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.